Good morning. The Inside Look is brought to you each Sunday by Gessel & Associates Insurance Agency, where we're busy doing the right things for the right reasons. My name's Larry Gessel. I'm your host. I'm joined in the studio today, as usual, my son Alex Gessel, who's an agent in the office, co-host Michael Morris, Morris Media, and our special guest, Chad Smuck of Legacy Smokehouse Restaurants.
That's right.
All right. Guys, thanks for all being here today. We love it. Our show's special in that, each week we take a little deep dive. We call it the Inside Look because we're trying to peel the onion back. Everybody has something they're into, they love doing, things that we have, special knowledge, that passions that we have, and we want to share that with people. So, we tackle some tough topics for sure, but we're hoping to educate, inform, and educate a little bit. Alex is over there cracking up. I don't know what I said he did, but he's got the giggles. So, Chad, over the last decade, and you may not know this about us, but our insurance agency has insured hundreds of restaurants. We were involved in a specialty restaurant insurance program with Cisco Foods.
Okay, nice.
A lot of sports bars, and so we've been in and out of a lot of them. But me personally, I have a real passion for what you do.
All right.
I'm a carnivore, man.
There we go.
When I smell that smoke, I just go, oh.
I think that's why Larry agreed to have you on the show, because
I agree.
I said what you did. He goes, I just came back from eating barbecue, bring him. I said, He's not bringing food with him.
I shouldn't have showered before I came in. I was in a smoker this morning. Yeah, I was just sitting there. Oh, yeah. I smelled super smoky this morning, so, yeah.
So when we were talking before the show, that every year my wife and I go down to Gatlinburg, and of course every little holler down there, nook and cranny has got somebody smoking something.
Oh, for sure.
It's just crazy.
Absolutely.
It's everywhere, and it just drives me nuts because I can't drive past it without going, oh, who's that and what are they doing?
Yeah.
So I eat way too much of it, and my wife indulges me. She's not into it nearly as much as me, but. Why don't you take a few minutes to tell us about yourself? I know you've got a lot to talk about, how you got in the business,
no problem.
And what your passions are. I know you got a couple of partners, and I'm curious to hear the whole story.
So Legacy as an entity has been around since 2017. So we just hit our 2-year anniversary, actually October 15th, so just a few days ago.
Cool.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. So we had popped open, we just had a food truck. A little trailer that we started, and we're just on the corner of Thurman and High Street there on the south side, and opened up just 2 years ago. So that's how it started out. But even just dialing it back a little bit before that, I met my best friend Brian Jordan, first grade down in Grove City, Highland Park Elementary School. So we got to know each other, and we're best friends all through high school.
Very cool.
After high school, I went off to college, and he kind of bounced around and did some different things, and he ended up eventually landing in Dallas, Texas, and lived there and did real estate for a long period of time, and fell in love with that Central Texas barbecue.
So do you have to put up with that Longhorns bull crap every year, football season?
He's a Cowboys fan, so I do have to put up with
tolerable.
that.
That's
See, I'm an Eagles fan, so then we have major issues. So we just try not to talk to each other too much. So this Sunday, it's going down this Sunday night. We got Eagles Cowboys Sunday night.
A little wager happening.
Oh yeah, for sure. So but he moved back to Ohio about 5 years ago and was crying that we didn't have as good a barbecue up here, and so we were like, hey, let's do our own. So we just sit around in my court with a little offset smoker and play around and do stuff, and just kind of slowly built up into what we turned into now.
Speaking of roots, you guys go back a ways too.
Yeah.
Michael
We do.
Grove City guys.
That's how the connection.
That's the only reason he's here, in my opinion. You got a Grove City guy, he's coming on the radio.
That's right.
So very cool. So what are the things that people don't understand about barbecue? Everybody's got their own different thing. The people in the South, Southern barbecue. You got the Kansas City thing I've heard about.
Yeah. Each region is a little different. The Carolinas, it's really pork centric. Like way back in the history, just there wasn't a whole lot of pasture land to raise cattle, stuff like that. So pigs were something you could just keep around your house, and then literally if you couldn't feed them or something's going on, you could release them into the woods and then just go hunt them down, and they would forage for themselves and stuff in the woods, and then you would hunt them down. And then the barbecue tradition just came about because just cooking like tough pieces of meats for a long period of time, real low temperature, just makes it melt in your mouth. So that's where the barbecue came from. But yeah, Carolina, just the terrain was conducive towards
that makes perfect
pigs.
Sense. Pigs,
yeah. And so then you go over like Memphis, and Memphis, the area was located on the river there. It got a lot of spices and sugars and stuff. So they have a real sweet molasses sauces. That's where the sauce came from. Pigs were still the predominant animal there, but they started getting a lot more saucy with their stuff there. Texas, that's what we're all about, is Central Texas style, and that's where they had the room.
Brisket.
They had the room to raise the cattle. So brisket and beef is king down there. So we do brisket, we do all 100% beef sausages, we do beef ribs on Saturday. So beef is really our focal point. But our ribs are great. We sell out of ribs every day and do real well there. And then the Kansas City style is kind of a combination of Memphis and Texas. So they would kind of herd all the cattle north up there, and then you get some of the sauces and stuff from Memphis. So just kind of combination of the two there. So those are the different styles. But we try to focus on the Central Texas style here at Legacy.
That's interesting. I never realized all that.
Yeah. And there's a lot, and I could talk way more. There's so much history with barbecue. It's pretty fascinating. And it's just such a great thing because it's a real communal thing. Like, because when you cook a whole brisket, like I can't eat a whole brisket, I might be able to. It depends on the day. But most of the time when you're cooking these huge cuts of meat, it's for a ton of people, and so that's just families getting together, communities getting together, just, that's just the history of it. Just feeding a lot of people, and it's just, it's an awesome story about American barbecue.
I'm an aspiring backyard smoker. I've never done it other than on a kettle grill.
Oh, yeah.
Do the snake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so his older brother, Nate, has turned me on to that, doing some pork butts and what have you. And it turns out pretty well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
But I see all these different smokers, electric smokers, the green egg, and it's like, oh man, they're all expensive, number one.
They are.
What are the differences, and does that, and I'm sure you don't want a lot of people doing the backyard smoking because that might cut into your
well, you know what,
they can't do what he's doing.
I love backyard smokers. Because so barbecue people are passionate about what they do, and I love those people, and so and I love it when someone comes in and they're in the line and they're like, hey, I'm a semi-professional in my backyard and do all this stuff, so I'm gonna see if you stack up to what I do, and we
bring
do.
It on,
we do. People always are just like, oh my gosh, that was amazing, and so now what I like is you've got all these backyard people that have the taste, like they want barbecue, but sometimes they're like, I do not want to spend 16 hours cooking something, so they'll come in and pick up a bunch for us. We had one guy a couple weeks ago, it was hilarious. He came in and he was just like, I couldn't get the smoker working last night. He goes, we got this big thing that my wife's bringing all these family over and I'm supposed to cook all this stuff. He's like, so I need 7 pounds of brisket. I need 5 racks of baby backs and just all this stuff, because he was just like, I just couldn't make it work last night. There were some problems. So he's like, you're going to save me. So now we have a bunch of the backyard barbecue folks that just come in and love our stuff. So if they don't feel like wanting to spend the time that particular weekend, come see us. We'll take care of you.
Chad, will you tell this story, because I know this story, and obviously Chad and I also do a show about food, mainly barbecue together, but I want him to tell the story of the lines, because we were talking about the 2-year anniversary. When it started, the climate had changed, right?
Yeah. So when we started mid-October, starting to get cool out, our first weekend, people were trickling in. We just used Facebook and kind of word of mouth that, hey, we're coming. So the first weekend, it was okay. It was mostly friends and friends of friends. The second weekend, a little bit more people showed up, but we had a food blogger come through at that point from 614.com. And so then she did an article about us, and then the following week it was pretty busy, but then the week after that blew up. And so it would be so funny because I'd be on the trailer and it's starting to get cold now. So I'd keep the doors down and the windows shut, and I'm in there making our cheese sauce for the mac and cheese, and I'm in there doing stuff, getting everything, and then I'd go out to get the stuff off the smoker, and then I'd look, and it was a half hour beforehand, and there's already 20 people in line. I was like, this is kind of a weird, this is a little different. I wasn't expecting this.
This is cool, but a little worrisome.
Yeah. And so from then on, from November all the way, and we stayed open until the end of January that first year at that location. Every time I popped the window, there was always a line. And there's some days, it was like I was out there with a snow shovel getting rid of like 8 to 10 inches of snow just to make a path for them and to get through. And then we had to get the big heaters. We had to get some big heaters so that people stand in line. And so they were showing up even in awful weather.
So this was before Hilliard opened?
Yes. So this was just the food truck from the end of 2017.
In the Long John Silver's
in the Long John Silver's parking lot.
So you had to go to Long John Silver's parking lot, which had gone out of business probably 8 months before.
Okay. Did you close them down?
No, we did not. No, they had been shut down for a while. So we were looking for a place to put the trailer, and we weren't looking for like a permanent place. We thought, let's just maybe find a couple locations. But
just
then,
float around
but then that location, it ended up, we were there for a couple weeks, and so we contacted the people that own Long John Silver's, like, can we just rent your parking lot? Like, I don't want the building, just rent your parking lot. And they're like, sure. They were trying to sell the building at the time.
Right.
So, get a little revenue from us while they're trying to sell it. But then, things went so well, and the whole German Village, Marion Village community really took us in and supported us. So we just love that area down there. So
you still run the food truck today?
We do. So yes. So
do you use that primarily for the catering events?
No, we use the food truck. It's out pretty much daily. So Richard Grimes, another Grove City guy, good guy. He's the one that coordinates and runs the whole food truck portion of what we do. So he does all the scheduling. So it's all around town. I mean, it's at Ohio State campus. They've been a bunch of events in downtown Grove City, a bunch of like local microbreweries that don't have kitchens. They bring food trucks out. So he's been there. He's been at Penn's. He's been just all over the place. So like if you go to our website, which is legacysmokehouse.com, there is a food truck link on there, and if you click that, then it shows the calendar of where it is on any given day.
Gotcha.
So if people don't want to,
so you guys have been kind of out on the cutting edge, because the whole food truck thing just. There's still a lot of insurance companies, the carriers, that don't mess with food trucks. It's a specialty thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, it's just. It's one of those things where like, oh, it's a fad, and I don't think so. What's nice is it gives a lot of like aspiring chefs and creative people an easy entry where it doesn't cost a crazy amount with all this overhead of having a restaurant, to just kind of get out there and share what they do with people.
Alex and I were down at the Ohio Restaurant Association convention. When was that? January maybe this year? Down at the convention center. And they had I think it was the first time they had done it. They had
was
a
the
whole,
first time
whole area for food trucks.
Devoted.
Chad, did you say you went to that
restaurant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Were you there as part of the food truck?
I was not there. I just this year I just went to just kind of look around. So I brought the whole management staff just to walk around.
Cool.
So what's funny, that show used to be the pizza and ice cream show. Was like the
really,
like it literally was just pizza and ice cream. Like you walked around and there was just
there's
all
still
these
a lot
ice
of
cream,
pizza and ice cream,
and that's why if you go now, that's why there's so much of that, because it used to just be a pizza and ice cream show.
Alex and I were killing it. I walked out there just going wilding out there.
Do not eat before you go in there, because there's plenty of samples for that, and that's open to the public. Anybody can go in there and check it out. So it's in January.
Cool place.
It's really cool. So I just brought my management staff there and just said, look for ideas. Just walk around, see if there's anything cool that you see.
So did you guys? So you had the food truck. That's how you guys started.
Yeah.
And then did you start? You have a location on Green Lawn.
We do. Yeah. So
was that location one?
Yes. So it was the first to open, but it wasn't the first that we started working on. So the Hilliard location was something that we had looked at for a while.
All right.
It's an awesome location. It's in downtown Hilliard. It's on Main Street. It's an old house that was built in 1850, and we had converted it. It's old Hilliard, and so we built a little addition onto the side of it to get some bathrooms and additional seating. There's a nice patio. So we had been working on that one for about a year. So started last January, and we opened up there December 15th of 2018.
I saw online where you had some construction delays,
permit
delays,
we had some issues, but and this was our first time building out a restaurant, so there were just definitely some things that we learned for the next ones that we can hopefully fix. So we had been working on that for a while. The Green Lawn location, we were still taking our trailer to the Long John Silver's and selling out of there. And so we kept passing that location, and it was just closed down. Like it used to be a restaurant and a bar, but it just wasn't open. And we would just see thousands of people across the street at those softball diamonds. So we reached out to them to say, hey, can we just put our trailer in the parking lot and try to sell to some of the softball folks? And then they were just like, hey, look, we're looking for someone to take over the building. And so we started negotiating with them, and we signed a lease in last June. And a couple weeks later, after some paint and some wood, and made it a little Texas saloon, and opened it up last July.
Do you have liquor out of that
We
location?
do. Yeah.
So I know insurance underwriters, once your liquor sales get to, let's say, 30% or more of total sales, they typically classify you as a sports bar. Say. Have you gotten to that?
No, our food is definitely a much larger percentage than liquor. So I mean, liquor. It's a nice bump. I mean, it's nice to have it
down there.
It's not. For sure. But the food still. We're predominantly, people are coming for our food, and that's one of the things. That location has had numerous restaurants in and out of it over the past couple of years, and part of it I think is because it was more alcohol focused, and so like when you get into the winter months, when softball isn't predominant, people aren't going to drive all the way there just for a drink, you know.
Yeah.
But if you got good food, people will travel for good food, and
You make an excellent point.
so I think that's one of the reasons why we're doing well. Now it's a little tough part right now because all the construction on 71 and the ramps to Green Lawn are shut down for like 30 days, so you can't get off. And so anybody listening, please, we're still open. come. It might take a little more. It might be a little more challenging to find us right now because you can't get off the ramp, but you can maneuver around and get to us still. So
that does hurt a business when that happens.
it does. Yeah, I mean, you just can't get off the freeway and get to us.
But the good news is Columbus is only going to be under construction through 2035. So if you just wait it out,
wait now. We can do
Just
that.
a couple decades.
Sounds like another 10 food trucks might be in order.
For sure.
So what are the plans? It sounds like you may be looking to maybe one day become a franchise.
Yeah, one thing.
You seem pretty.
Yes. So I mean, we have a ton of people that love us, and we'll have people travel from Pickerington over to Hilliard, and they're all like, man, you need to bring this to us, and so we have started looking at some other locations. We've got a couple things in the works that I'll announce soon once we get everything finalized. But we do have a couple other little expansion things that we're going to do. Maybe not the exact same concept, but something really similar to it. Still the same smoked meats and stuff, but maybe a little smaller, little outpost type things, to pick up stuff and go. Maybe not the full restaurant at different locations.
So
what is the difference between the two locations? You have the
so with
anything different between
yes,
them?
there is. Now, food-wise, it's not very different.
Right.
Food-wise, it's pretty much the same. The vibe is slightly different. So the Hilliard location is kind of the one. That's kind of like the brand that we were going for. Like it's this old Texas farmhouse. It's a lot of black and white, cool photos, and just, and it's also in Texas. It's kind of the let's call it cafeteria style, for lack of a better term, where you literally walk up, you interact with the meat cutter, you order from the meat cutter, you slide down, you get your side dishes, and then you check out and you go sit down. And that's kind of the Central Texas style, the way most of them work. And that's what we wanted to do. And so since we were able to set up Hilliard from scratch, we kind of built it so that people come in, they go through the line, they can go sit down. Green Lawn, there was no way to set it up like that. And Green Lawn, when you walk in, there's a massive bar. Like a bar is the focal point of that, just because that's the way it's just set up. So that one, we call it our smokehouse and saloon because the bar is a bigger part of that one. Even though at Hilliard we do sell, we have a full liquor license at Hilliard also and sell stuff. And phase 2 is we're putting a little speakeasy bourbon bar up on the second floor. We're going to build that out over the summer or over the winter, so we'll open that up next spring. And it's going to have a little rooftop patio over the addition that we had built. So it's going to be fantastic. I'm super excited for that. But Green Lawn does have a different vibe to it, because it is our saloon.
And you and my dad are both real into photography.
Yeah.
Is that what kind of the inspiration behind the walls with Hilliard?
Yeah. So if you look at Hilliard, so whenever I travel places, I always take my camera. So as I mentioned to your dad, I had my own photography business before, and I guess still do. I just don't have as much time to pick up the camera. And so when we spent a lot of time in Texas visiting different pit bosses and popping back in the kitchen and learning from them, and they were so gracious about, like, here's why we do this, here's what we do, and just sharing things with us. And so I was always trying to document like stuff and take pictures of their smokers or take pictures of some of the people that were working there, just certain things that I liked about it. So we have those photos hanging up on the walls in both locations, and that's one of the reasons why we call ourselves Legacy. When we were coming back, trying to figure out like what do we want to name ourselves, and it's we want to honor what they've been doing down in Texas for so long, and just carry on that legacy that their families have been doing forever up here. And so Legacy was a big part of how that's where the name came
something I've been
from.
dying to ask you. So last year when my wife and I went to Gatlinburg, it was a favorite place to get smoked meat there. And they had a fire. Yeah. And they were closed. And this year they were open again. So I was inquiring, well, where did the fire, being in the insurance business and doing field underwriting all the time, we're always trying to help our clients avoid these kind of things by watching out for them and looking for things that can cause this. So it's like, well, it happened in our smoker caught fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then it spread to the building.
Mm-hmm.
So we park in the back, and there's the smoker. It's a block building, and it's 6-7 feet away from the main restaurant
Yeah,
building, and I said, so how did the fire
Jump?
spread?
How did it jump from the
and I'm thinking
smoker to
and
the
then I heard
building?
it was under new ownership, and I went, the fraudster, the
Yeah,
fraud investigation thought process started.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking, somebody catch this thing on fire to exit the business.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? And
Are you giving Chad an idea?
Yeah,
Like,
oh my
it's-
God.
I feel like you just
Tell
said
me
on the
more.
radio.
Tell me
Chad,
more.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
get a
Don't
pencil.
go well.
Can I write this
So,
down
yeah.
real quick?
So it turns
One
out
of these locations isn't working out.
Yeah, so I don't think it turned
Food
out to be
trucks
that
catch on
because
fire really
the
easy if
new
you
owners
park
were
them
part of the
inside.
family, the original family, and they just kind of grew tired of the business. But
Yeah.
But anyway, so apparently there was a wooden canopy of some sort,
Okay.
wooden frame canopy that maybe they had placed
Yes.
between the two structures, and somehow the smokehouse did catch fire, caught the wooden canopy on fire. The fire then spread over
Yeah.
into the roof of the main restaurant.
Eh.
So, what could have caused that? And I know the viewers probably don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
The rat's ass about that, but
Yeah. So what if you don't do enough maintenance on your smoker?
they collect grease.
Yeah, it collects grease, and if a spark or something flies in there, I think that could definitely potentially cause that issue. So. There's a maintenance schedule that we have.
grease
Like,
traps
yeah,
that
you
you have.
drain the grease out. We call it pit juice.
juice,
The
yeah,
pit
there
juice.
you
We
go.
got to drain that pit juice out. So we constantly drain the pit juice out. And then we also have a schedule when we actually, you scrape all the racks, you take everything out. We literally crawl inside the smoker, scrape
Sounds like
everything,
a real
scrub it
fun
down.
process.
It is awful. It is awful. It's awful. So, but that definitely is something that because if the firebox does shoot up smoke and occasionally sparks will come in, and
Sure.
a spark could land in there and catch the grease on fire.
I gotcha.
And so then when you open the door, kind of like that movie Backdraft from years ago, like
Uh-huh.
whoop, yeah, just this huge
Yeah,
fireball will come
okay.
out and cause some problems.
So-
I love when Chad brings up movie things. I could talk about movies. You know
We're
what
gonna run out of
Backdraft?
time.
Of course we know
Yeah, of
Backdraft.
But another thing I'm dying to ask you, and
Yeah.
we're going to have to make this real quick. So, the brisket in particular,
Yeah.
well, all the meats are so tender, so juicy, and yet cooked for so long. How do you balance that schedule of something that might be smoking for 8, 10, 12
Mm-hmm.
hours against anticipated client demand or
Yeah.
customer demand? How do you have like 3 or 4 different cooked chambers of different
It's
meats?
tough.
that-
No, so it's a big rotisserie chamber that's got 12 shelves. So like the one in Hilliard can hold 1,800 pounds of meat at a time. Like it's
1,800.
Yeah, it's massive.
That's awesome.
So basically, I'm still learning how much meat to cook on a daily basis. So like this is our first season to have Ohio State football. So like our football game's big for us, or does everybody just watch on TV and they don't show up? Trying to learn that stuff. So any given day, we call it our par sheet. We're just saying that here's how many brisket I cook for Saturday. Here's how many pork. Here's how many ribs. And so we cook that and just hope that I'm right.
But how do you hold it though? So how do you hold it to where it's
So we have
not drying out?
Yeah, so we have holding ovens that will keep everything at around 160 degrees. So when it comes out of the smoker, we let it rest for a little while. Just like if you're cooking a steak or something, you want to let it rest.
Okay.
So then we will hold them in the holding ovens at 160, and they just keep it at a perfect
gotcha.
temperature. And they're all
They
wrapped.
dry it
We
out.
wrap them in butcher paper at some point
That
on the
makes
smoke,
sense.
so it keeps all the juices in. Just keep them in there at the perfect temperature, and then if somebody orders, we'll come back and pull out a brisket. We'll slice that. When we get through that whole brisket, we go back and pull another one out of the holding oven and bring it up.
That's got to be one of your greatest challenges.
Oh, it is,
Find
it
that
is.
balance.
Yeah,
'Cause
trying to figure out-
people
yeah.
come in, you just hate to turn anybody away.
Oh yeah. And if we're sold out of something, I hate that. People get upset, but it happens because it takes us 6 hours to cook ribs. I can't just we don't microwave ribs at Legacy. So so if they're fresh off the smoker and they take a long time to get off there.
Well, one of the things I love about the show is we get to share our time with our viewers, with other people like you that have a passion. We have a passion for what we do. And one thing that we know for sure is that regardless of what it is we do for a living, we're all trying to do the same thing. We're sharing, we hopefully do what we love to do. We're sharing our passion with other people. And, we're in a fight each day, too. We've got to protect our businesses. We have to protect our families. And there are so many things out there today that people aren't aware of that can harm them. And so that's what we try to do here in the show. So whether it's your farm, or to our listeners, whether it's your farm, your business, or your home and auto, we represent an awful lot of insurance carriers, and we're here to help. We do a deep dive. Michael knows that we run advertisements that 98% of the policies we look at have coverage errors or overpriced or a combination of the two. And
I had heard that before.
that's pretty sad. It's an indictment of our industry.
Yeah.
But guys, that's what we're here to do, and Tell us again how folks can reach you. What's
Yep.
what
So
website?
website is always a good option. So go to legacysmokehouse.com.
Sure.
That's got information about both of our locations in Green Lawn and at Main Street in Hilliard. Also our food truck. There's catering. We do a ton of catering. So there's a catering menu out there. We also are on social media. So Facebook, Legacy Smokehouse, or Instagram. You can kind of just follow us what's
Gotcha.
going on a daily basis by following those two.
Awesome. And our agency can be contacted at 614-697-2020. Again, 614-697-2020, or at our website, gesselins.com. It's GESSELINS.com. Thanks again, and until next week, be kind to one another. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it, man.
Mhm.
Good to see you.
Right, sir.
That was the most fun I've had in a while.